don't over romanticize your time at university. Chances are you don't know the first thing about the career you're going into. That's kind of the exciting part about work, is that the learning doesn't really stop. Just because you've graduated doesn't mean you're not learning anymore. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. How are you all doing? It's so nice to be sitting down and chatting to the camera again, and I've made a real big effort to sort of try and make my film setup a little bit more polished. It's not actually ideal filming in the room that I'm living in London, and the background isn't great, but I'm just trying to make it a little bit cleaner and trying to improve my channel where I can. But yeah, as I said, it's quite difficult trying to make a cream wall look nice. Even just like trying to get my tripod set up in a different place and, you know, mess around with the camera angle just to try and get it right, get me in shot correctly. Anyway, ramble aside, as you can tell from the title of today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about 8 things I wish I knew before graduating. I know a lot of you guys who follow my channel are just starting uni, or are in your final years, or about to graduate, or you may have even just graduated yourselves and are looking for a little bit of advice about entering into the working world as an adult. I graduated 2 years ago now, which just sounds crazy. Like, where has the time gone? I'm in my second job now, about to move on to a new role at my company, and I just think, gosh, there are so many things that I've learned since graduating that I wish I'd known before I left university, that just would have given me some reassurance. So I figured it would be a perfect video opportunity to share those learnings with you guys, especially as a lot of you are kind of going on that same life stage journey with me. So I hope you enjoy this video, and with that said, let's get started. So tip number 1 is you won't always get the first job that you apply for, or even out of the first 10 or the first 50 you apply for. You've just got to keep going. And I think I was a little bit naive when I was applying for jobs, and I thought, yeah, I've got a good university on my CV, I've done a lot of volunteering, I was in lots of societies, I have a lot of transferable skills, like, what a catch, everyone's gonna want to hire me. No, I wasn't that big-headed, I wasn't that naive, but I don't know, I kind of wish somebody had said to me, it's gonna be a little bit harder than that. Oh, hang on. The sun has decided to shine through my window and now I look super pasty. Yeah, it's not as easy as that, and chances are you'll be competing against people who might have graduated a year or 2 years ago, or have had more application experience than you have, or have siblings or parents that can help them, and you might not necessarily have that, like myself. And that does mean you're a little bit on the back foot sometimes, or you can be. And I think going in with that mindset of, it's all just practice. Regardless of whether I get onto the next stage, whether I get the job offer, whether I get to an in-person interview or assessment centre or whatever, it is all just good practice. So go in there prepared that you're not always going to get everything you apply for, and that's okay, because ultimately it's just preparing you for that one dream job you will get. And I think it's really easy to lose the faith a bit when you're on to like your 100th job application, you still haven't, you know, found the one, but it will come, I promise you that. You've just got to keep positive and keep going, keep trying. Maybe make a journal of all of your reflections, what went well, what could have gone better, what have you learned from your assessment centres, and just keep practicing and you will get there. Tip number 2, it's okay to not know what you want to do. I did a degree in English. I mean, unless I wanted to become an English teacher, there wasn't really a direct profession, or stay in academia I suppose, there wasn't really a direct profession that I would have gone into. So I think when you're doing a degree like that, or any degree really, you know, sometimes you don't know what specific career you want to go into, unless maybe you're like a vet or a doctor or a lawyer. Even then you can change your mind, and that's fine. But I think it's all right to not have a big 5 to 10 year plan and know exactly which way you're headed and where you want your life to pan out. And there can be a lot of pressure, especially in like high performing university environments, where it seems like everything has it sorted. You're looking around and everyone's getting offered their grad schemes, and you're kind of like, I don't know what to do, and I'm getting loads of rejections. And you just need to put things back into perspective and realise that actually there are more people like you than you realise, and all of these people who are, you know, sharing about their wonderful grad schemes and their job offers, you know, they're not sharing the negative side of job applications on LinkedIn. Like, raise your hand if you've ever actually put a post on LinkedIn that says, on to my 100th rejection today. Like, no one wants to share that side, and maybe we should be talking about it a little more, because it's really easy to think everyone's just succeeding the first time with everything they do. They know what they're doing, they know where they're headed, and 9 times out of 10 they don't. But that's fine, you don't need to have it sorted out. Like, one thing I've learned from, you know, 2 years in the working world now, moving on to a new role again, so that's 3 roles that I will have had in 3 years, is that it's kind of trial and error. And I mean, the graduate scheme I'm on purposefully builds in rotations because they want you to gain exposure in the working world to lots of different types of jobs. They know I've come straight from university and haven't got a lot of work experience, and they'd rather I try lots of things, fail, try again, love things, hate things, and really work it out, because then I can specialise and actually enjoy what I do. But there's no point in specialising in the first thing you do if you hate it, and then you've doomed yourself to a career or something you hate. So I think it's fine to just keep chopping and changing. At least that's what I'm doing. Great if you've got it figured out, like, good for you. I wish I did, but it's also great that you don't, because I'm trying so many different jobs, learning so many different skills, and I'm just enjoying it. Like, it's fun to try new things and not lock yourself into any specific career path or route. So yeah, if you don't have it sorted out, don't worry, most of us don't either. Tip number 3, you will miss university, and you will look back on it with rose-tinted glasses. Now, I'm fairly sure 99% of my time at university was just spent crying, stressing about essays, in the library, stressing about deadlines, panicking all the time, revising. But you kind of forget all of that when you graduate, and you look back and think, gosh, best years of my life. I miss living with my friends. I miss all the fun I had. I mean, you might have had that experience at university, but I mean, personally, I was very, very academic and really into the work and getting my work done and working more and working really, really hard. I mean, it's okay either way, whatever type of university experience you have. I think you will look back and miss it, and that's fine, but put things in perspective again. Like, that was one chapter of your life, and now that chapter is closed and you're moving on to the next chapter. I always use book metaphors. Gosh, I'm really clinging on to my English literature degree here, but it's fine. Like, you're allowed to look back on that chapter and miss it and reflect on it and look back at all the things you've learned, the good times, the bad times, the ugly times. But remember, you're moving towards an end point, and you kind of can't stay stuck in that chapter. Like, you've got to get to your next destination. I'm mixing metaphors now, what am I doing? You've got to get to your next sort of place, and you're kind of heading in a new direction, and that's fine. And you can go back to university, you can move on from it, you can reflect on it and miss it and still not want to go back. I think the idea is it's not really linear. Like, you're moving forwards, but it might be kind of like, oh, you're here, then you're here, then you're moving back, and you're moving along again, and that's fine. And it's good to look back, but don't dwell on the past too much. Don't over romanticize your time at university, because you'll miss all of the great moments that you're living right now in the present. Like, yes, look back on the good times, yes, miss it, and, you know, long to go back or whatever. Look through your pictures and your memories, but also look at the memories you're making now. Look at the opportunities that you're receiving now. Like, because one day you'll get to another stage in your life and you'll look back on your early 20s and your first time in the working world and think, gosh, I really miss that too. Like, we're always looking back, but try and be more rooted in the present. That's what I'd say, because I think once I kind of came to terms with that in my own mind, that's when I've really started loving work. Like, and I don't want to go back to university. I miss it. There are times when I'm like, oh, I wish I could just have a day punting on the River Cam with my friends again, or I wish I could relive finishing my second year exams and all the celebrations. Not the essay writing and the stressing and the revision. Don't want to do that bit again. But I mean, you know, you're going to have new memories with work friends. You can still arrange to meet up with your university friends. You can still recreate those memories, just in a different kind of way, and make new memories. That's what it's all about. So yeah, to summarise, focus on the present and just keep moving forwards. Tip number 4 is you're going to feel like you're back at square one. And what I mean by this is, by the time you've graduated university, you're going to feel like a little bit of an expert in whatever you studied. You probably studied that subject at school or something similar to it, and you probably excelled, and that's why you went on to study it at university. And then you probably spent 3, 4, 5 years then developing your knowledge in that field. And when you graduate, you're going to feel top of your game. You're going to get, you know, your grades or your coursework or your exams submitted, and you're going to think, yeah, I've really learned that syllabus, I really know my stuff. And then chances are you're going to come into the working world, into a career that might not necessarily relate directly to your degree, or even if it does, it's stretching that knowledge even further. And you know, you're going to feel like the newbie, like a novice, and that can be really difficult when you think you've kind of come from up here and now you're like back down here starting all over again, or not necessarily all over again, but in a new place, because you still have those transferable skills. Remember that. And they're applicable in the work environment, but you might not necessarily have the technical knowledge or the expertise or the facts like you used to have, but you can use those transferable skills to unlock that knowledge and to learn that and to develop in that field. And that's kind of the point when you get to work. Like, they don't expect you to be an expert when you come in. They understand you've come straight out of university probably, and chances are you don't know the first thing about the career you're going into, and that's okay. And I think one thing I found really hard about starting work is not necessarily the lack of independence, because I would say I'm still independent, but I was very independent at university. My professors left me to do whatever I pleased. I could pick my own essay topics, I could pick whatever I wanted to read, write about whatever I wanted to write about. I had a lot of free time to do with as I pleased. And when you start the working world, you know, most times it's going to be a 9 to 5. You're going to have a manager, they're going to give you a list of tasks to do, and you don't necessarily manage your own time as much. Obviously you need to do the tasks you've been given within that time frame, and that's up to you to manage that, but I guess it's less free or flexible as it was at university. At least for me, doing a humanities degree, it was very much, do I attend this lecture today, is it relevant, no, I'm doing an essay on that this week, oh, change my mind, doing it on this instead. And at work it's quite different. If I'm given a task, I'll be working on that task. You know, last minute things might change, my manager might say, drop that, you need to move on to this, the deadline's more pressing. And you just kind of need to get used to being told what to do in a way. You will have your little freedoms within that, and I would say I still have a lot of freedom at work, and my manager trusts me a lot to get on with things, and when I have free time, she trusts that I'll find something productive to do to fill that time, or when I'm extremely busy, she trusts that I can prioritise and manage what I do. But it is definitely a very different environment to university, and I think I'm definitely learning how to be managed and how to follow instruction, because remember, you do feel like a novice and you do feel like a newbie, and look at all of these fantastic people around you who are experts and who have been in this field for a while. Like, see what you can learn from them, pick their brains, ask questions, network. That's kind of the exciting part about work, is that the learning doesn't really stop. Just because you've graduated doesn't mean you're not learning anymore. Like, look for these little opportunities where you can learn and grow and develop and gain knowledge from the fantastic people around you. Tip number 5, you'll end up doing jobs you just don't like. And that's okay. As I've said, it's fine to just chop and change and try and work out what you do like, but be prepared to do a lot of tasks you don't necessarily enjoy, or jobs you don't enjoy. It might not necessarily be the whole job, but you might find a job you really, really love, but there are parts of that job that you just don't love and you just don't vibe with, but you accept that's kind of part and parcel of doing that job. And you know, you've got to evaluate, do the good parts of this job outweigh the bad parts, and they're kind of just necessary evil you need to work through in order to do the better parts of the job you enjoy more, or do they outweigh the good parts and you think this job just isn't for me because of these tasks that I know I just don't enjoy. And I think even if you're doing these jobs that you know you don't like, still give it 100%. Don't go in with a negative attitude of I hate this, I can't do this, I'm rubbish at it, I can't wait to move on to something else, I hate this task. You know, what can you learn from this task, and what transferable skill can you take away? Or even, what have you learned in the fact that you don't like this task? Well, you can already tick off a job you know you don't want to do, which is just kind of accelerating you towards that career you know you do want to do. So see it as a positive, like you've ticked one thing off the list that you now know you don't want to do, and that's great too, because it's all about moving forward. Tip number 6, it's okay to change, to quit, to start again, to go back to things. Like, it's fine to just not know, and it kind of links to the earlier points I've said, so maybe a little bit repetitive here, but I think a lot of us are afraid of change because it makes us look like we don't have a clue what we're doing, or you know, change is scary, and we kind of want to have this front to our peers, our friends, our family, that we've got all of our things in life sorted out. And it's all right to change, and it's not necessarily a step back. Sometimes change is a step forwards, and quitting is a step forwards. And I don't even like the word quitting because it sounds so negative. It's not necessarily quitting or giving up. It's just, again, that crossing out something you know doesn't work for you, and that's fine. Like, I don't think we talk about this enough, but you will do things you don't enjoy, and it's fine to just say, I've done that, didn't work for me, I'm not going to do it again, put it in its box, take away my learnings, and move on to the next thing I want to do. That's okay. Or it's fine to do something, maybe think you don't like it, try something new, realise you missed the thing you were doing and come back to it. I think people do that all the time. Like, it's alright to leave your role, try a new one, come back. Or work in one sector and decide you don't like that sector anymore and move into a new one. Or move to a new company and then decide you miss the culture and the job you're doing in your former company and go back. Or just anything in general, like change, just embrace it. It's fine. Like, we're all just muddling along together and trying to work things out, and you need to remember that. Like, it's all just trial and error, and that's what we're doing, and that's what life's about. And I think in life, you can't shy away from change and uncertainty. You will face so much uncertainty in life, and a lot of decisions will be taken out of your hand as well. So I think just learning to embrace that uncertainty, and again, positive growth mindset with anything that comes your way, because that change and that uncertainty is all about finding out who you are and in general growing up. Tip number 7 kind of links nicely on the back of that. You will change as a person. You will become different. And that's not dishonest or deceitful or, I don't know, like you're lying or an imposter. Like, the whole point of growing up is working out who you are, and who you were in the last stage of your life can be very different to who you are now, because you've learnt new things about yourself. You might have become more confident, more outgoing. You might have actually realised you're a little bit more shy than you thought you were. That's one that actually came to me when I left university. I always thought I was really outgoing and confident, and coming into the working world, I've actually become a lot more quiet, not necessarily in a shy or subdued way, just in a, you know, I'm new here, I want to sit back and learn, and I'll ask questions when necessary, but I won't just talk for the sake of it. I'm actually really enjoying being a bit more introspective, and it's fine to change in that aspect as a person as well, because I am just discovering new parts of my personality and new interests, and that kind of comes with life when you're picking up all of these little bits as you go along. Like, every new life stage is a new journey where you are picking up new bits. You're being influenced by all of the new people coming into your life, the new environment, the new surroundings, the new job. You know, it's all shaping who you are, and that person who you are is constantly evolving. You are never any one thing. And even then, I feel like I'm a different person around my work colleagues than I am around my family, than I am around my friends, or even then around work friends versus university friends or home friends. Like, we all have different parts of our personalities that these different people will unlock, or that we're willing to share around these different people, depending on our different levels of comfort, or depending on how professional you need to be, and that's okay too. So just be prepared to discover new things about yourself that you didn't really know were in there, or I don't know, not necessarily innately in there, because sometimes it is just you change as you go, and that's again what it's like to grow up. And finally, tip number 8 kind of feels like a bit of a dampener to end on. I didn't mean this to be the 8th tip, but you will struggle. It's inevitable, and I feel like you're always going to have struggles when you move on to something completely new you've never experienced before. Like, I bet when you moved from school to university, it was a big struggle because of that change, and the same thing now when you're moving from university to work. You will struggle. You'll struggle with your time management, with adapting to a new schedule, with living in a new place if you've moved out, with managing your own money and your time. And, you know, this might be the first time you're managing bills on your own, or living with new people that you're not as comfortable with as you were with your university friends, or making new friends, or adapting in a work environment. And these are all struggles that you will just have to go through, and you will come out on the other side a better person for it, or a changed person, or someone with a lot more knowledge than when you first started. And as hard as it is, it kind of makes you who you are. I was gonna come up with another really cheesy metaphor about, you know, like diamonds being formed under pressure, but you get what I mean. Like, it's through that struggle that you can learn what you like, what you don't like, who you are, who you want to be, where you want to go, and that's kind of the exciting part of it. So I guess to turn that negative into a positive, yes, you will struggle, but through that struggle, you will also have some of the best times of your life. You will come into your own, you will experience new and exciting fun things, you will meet new people, you will learn new things, you will try and fail and try again and succeed. And I really do think that I'm coming into the best years of my life right now. I'm loving being in my early 20s. I'm loving the independence. I'm loving the discovery. I'm loving the change and the challenge. And it will be okay, I think, is my take-home message. If there's one thing you take away from this video, it will be okay. You know, you're about to graduate. It can seem daunting and scary, but you will manage and you will come out the other side and you will learn so much. I feel like I'm being really repetitive, but I really, you know, I just want to reassure you guys not to be afraid, because I've done it, and look, here I am. I've documented some of the struggles on my channel. I've documented the highs, the lows, the cries, and like, here I am sat smiling and the sun is shining through my window. It's a beautiful sunny day and I'm in a great mood, but I look really pasty because of the sunshine and it's affecting my light. But anyway, don't be afraid and be ready to make some of the best memories of your life, because your life is what you make of it. And I really do think that positive growth mindset will get you far in life, because you can make the most of anything if you just put your mind to it. So on that delightful note, let me know in the comments below which of these tips was your favourite, or maybe a tip you hadn't thought about, or if I've missed anything, please do share below. As I've said, I'm trying to create this inclusive community where we can all kind of help each other muddle through early adulthood together. So yeah, let me know in the comments below if you've got any more tips, and thanks for watching everybody. Bye!